for just a couple of days, but then I'm gonna be on a scooter
One of those.
for about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. So I have to, I was asking Julie, I'm assuming, okay, like, not to be up here, but I can sit like right now.
Okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Is that Mrs. G?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like we're due for a warm-up next week. It's gonna be a low of 13.
Weather's absurd.
The kids have been getting on their
I was flying back from Florida.
And then you were thinking, why am I
The pilot goes,
Warm.
the warmest
Yes.
temperature
Trying to
on
stay-
Mars
Trying to stay there.
is like 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Then he proceeded to say that. Here, I was like, it's more.
We
There
lost
was a
one
thing I
this
saw and it
week.
said
The one
from like,
Pyramid
northern
Brothers.
Canada to Florida
Good morning,
was a
we lost it.
144-degree difference.
Yeah.
From like the minus 50 to like 40. And even this week in Florida, I have a buddy going on there. It's like 60 degrees high. That's it all week.
I take it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. At this point, past the
I'm a little jealous.
-3, -5,
In
minus
spring with their-
9 degrees.
I just remember
in
going like
spring.
the difference between like -60 to 6 degrees. I was like,
You feel it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one
Need a jacket.
the one day when you it was the -16. You walked outside. I mean, it took your breath away. It was like
Cold.
I don't,
I'd give
that's
anything for 25 degrees. And
My
feel
kids
like
wanted to go on a hot tub.
Yeah.
And I go like, I don't really turn it on.
ain't doing it.
I go like, all right, you got my
something's
friends
gonna
over.
break.
Yeah.
So I turned it on, and then I went to go turn it off, and I put the cover back
It's
on.
Michigan.
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody ready?
Maybe me and my
I'm ready, yep.
You guys
turned it back on.
ready? Good evening, everybody. I'm going to start the regular monthly meeting of the Ada Township Board of Trustees. Could we all please stand for a moment? We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance and have a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance
Our Secretary, please call the roll.
Trustee Damstra,
Here.
Trustee Prose,
Here.
Trustee Treasurer Moran,
Here.
Clerk DeMarco here, and Supervisor Korth.
Here, thank you. Thank you, Clerk DeMarco. I apologize for calling you Secretary a moment ago.
Call me anything you like. Part of the team.
Thank you for the vote. We have an agenda in front of us tonight that has a number of normal items and a few items that are special. That agenda was presented to us several days ago. Does anybody have any questions or comments? And if not, would someone move to approve the agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda and minutes and files and reports, communications under the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay, we have our motion. We have support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right, so the first item is the general township business. It's the motion to approve the minutes and accept and file reports and communications under the consent agenda. We have two sets of board township meetings, which is the January 12th, 2026 meeting and the special work session meeting from December 11th, 2025. We have received and filed various reports and communications, which is the Downtown Development Authority meeting minutes from December 15th, 2025, the Covered Bridge Park Progress Meeting number 10 minutes from January 7th, 2026, and the Ada Historical Society meeting minutes from December 11th, 2025. Those were in our packets. If anybody has any questions or comments on those, now would be time to bring it up. And if not, would someone move to approve these items?
I move to approve the general township business, the approval of the board minutes and the reports and communications for January 26th.
Support?
Okay, the motion was moved by trustee Prose, supported by trustee Damstra. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. The next item is the approval of our warrants. We have our township general warrants. Mr. Moran, will you please go ahead and present that to us?
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, Monday, January 26, 2026, we have hand checks that total $226,147.66, and hand checks that total warrants that total $58,727.32, for a total of all hand checks and warrants of $284,874.98.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on the detail that was provided on the warrant report and hand checks?
I just had a quick one on item 41 for the printing services. Can you expand on what that covers?
I have that in my packet.
Verdant Graphics,
Yeah.
Did you say 41?
41, yeah.
That's the Ada View.
Eight of you, okay.
Mhm.
Is that a yearly cost then, or
No, this is for per edition.
per edition? Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. If not, would someone, we have our motion, we have our, the,
I move approval of the warrant report for Monday, January 26th, in the amount of $284,874.98.
Support?
okay, once again, moved by trustee Pro, supported by trustee Damstra. Would our clerk please call the roll?
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Prose,
Aye.
Trustee Damstra.
Aye.
Thank you. The second item under the warrants section is consider the Covered Bridge Park change order number 8 for the increased cost of the canopy restroom roof line, the railing replacement on the Covered Bridge north side, and decking replacement, sandblasting and painting of steel beams, then also the splash pad utility adjustment for a net project increase of $57,480.
Good evening. Wesley Deason, Director of Parks and Recreation. So just wanted to touch on a few things here regarding this change order before giving Peter the floor. But just want to talk about, the transparency that was requested at the last Township Board meeting, and wanting to bring forward all the items that were foreseen at that time to make sure we're really being mindful of timelines, again, and transparency, and more than anything, right, making sure this project is delivered on time and within budget at the end of the day. So overall, the project health is in a good space with still anticipated summer 2026 completion. Financially, the project is performing within the established budget parameters with approximately 25% of the allocated contingency utilized to date. So item A, I'm just going to quickly brief you on the 3 items here. The canopy column corrections is tied to the canopy that will overhang next to the restroom building. The cost of that is $24,730. And speaking with Peter and the team of Progressive, that was due to a engineer's omission on the project. Township Manager Suchi and I, in our conversations with them, had brought forth and inquired whether or not Progressive would be willing to help support funding the cost increase in some capacity. Item B, Covered Bridge Park North Side decking, railing, and structural beam improvements. I believe Treasurer Moran brought this forward at a previous meeting, and just wanted to make sure that the north side and the south side have the same aesthetic. Ben Tomet did a really nice job on that project about 2 years ago, and so just for uniformity and consistency, that's what we're looking at, that $31,175. And then lastly, the splash pad storm drain modification. Say that fast. Minor modifications are needed for the splash pad storm drainage system due to design adjustments identified during the Vortex equipment submittal process. I'm going to let Peter speak to that. There's some intricacies to that that I just cannot speak well to. But again, these are just the potential, or these are the current change orders being requested, again, in the amount of $57,480. Peter was kind enough as well to just lay out for us some potential future change orders as well. But again, I will give him the floor. If you have any particular questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those, but otherwise I will bring Peter up.
I have a question. If I remember correctly from last meeting, there was a little bit of dialogue that spoke to the overall contingency amount. And I just wanted to make sure that even this falls within that.
That is correct.
Perfect.
Yep. Yep.
Did we hear about item A and potentially sharing that cost?
I have not
Okay.
received any notification on a
Okay.
willingness from their behalf at
Okay.
this time. Yep.
Gosh, when I was always a contractor and still am, if we make a mistake, guess who eats it? This is absolutely insane that the township would admittedly, this is a mistake, and they say, well, they can dig it up and use them perhaps somewhere else. When you make a mistake, admit you made the mistake, fix it, and eat it. You guys are making a ton of money on this job, and I'm not in the mood to just give people $24,000 change orders. I'm sorry. I hate to be the stick in the mud, but it's wrong. It really is wrong.
Peter Shapansky, project manager at Ada Covered Bridge Progressive Companies. So yes, the change order here does cover those 3 items, including the Cedar Forest products, the bridge deck replacement, and then also the small adjustment to the utilities. So yes, we have gone through all these. Hopefully this is helpful this time. We gave a full detailed explanation of everything we walked through, and we've walked through all these items for what the problem is, what the solution could be, and then what's the best solution moving forward. And I do want to start today just by prefacing that this project in general is going very, very well. So at the end of the day, this park is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a place where all of our families, friends, and neighbors get to hang out and have a good time. And we believe that all these changes are necessary to keep the quality of the project where it needs to be. So, yes. Any questions?
I'd like to go back to the one I just talked about.
Okay.
Your very first sentence, it tells the whole story. During construction, it was discovered that 5 cedar canopy columns were manufactured shorter than the required due to a discrepancy and omission error by a former Progressive Company team member between the grading plans and the structure elevation callouts. That's what I call an error and omission. That's what I call a mistake. That's what I call, why are you even bothering the township bringing it? I don't care if we're in great shape, and I'm glad we are in great shape. But whether we're in great shape or horrible shape, if you make a mistake, admit it and take it from there. I'm just really I was shocked to see it, to be very frank. I was shocked to see it.
So yeah, so the contingency, I just want to go to that to start with this, kind of answer your question. So the contingency is set up specifically for value adds on the project or errors and omissions. That's what it's set up for. Every project uses contingency. Errors and omissions do happen. No one's perfect. And at the same time, there is a ton of value adds we've added to this project so far. And at the end of the day, there's a problem. We either make a value add to make it right, or we find a way to do it a different way. And I think that's where we're coming forward with the best solution. And I think that's, if you want to talk about who pays for error and omissions, I think I brought someone with me today here who is our expert in this stuff, so as not to listen to me talk, because I'm I will learn from him more than I learn from talk to you guys about it. Yes.
To Trustee Pro's point,
Mhm.
my question is, when this discovery was made,
Yes.
what was the discussion with the manufacturer?
So discovery was.
Because you do admit here that they were manufactured shorter than required.
Mhm.
So what do they have to say about it?
So they would not add anything to it. We asked them about that, like, could you extend it? Could you find a way to make this more affordable? Essentially, with the beams they create, and I believe it's because they're a fancy glue lamp style, that are like pieces put together in a nice way, that they couldn't do it without completely redoing it for structural reasons. And that's why we also try to intend to find a way to utilize these beams in a different way, which we have a donor wall going in still. That's something that's coming up. It's been a design, work the process. And the nice thing is that having these beams around, we're going to reutilize them in that donor wall. It helps continue that design theme throughout, so they'll match exactly. It's unfortunate, but we're trying to make the best of it.
If you had it to do over again, would you use the same manufacturer? When you say nobody's perfect, certainly nobody is perfect, but
No.
we're aiming for precision.
Nope. And I think I would use them again. I think their product is
You
the
would.
right. I think their product's the right product for this, and they've been helpful throughout the process too.
Well, that's great, but I'll suggest then if you would use them again, especially for a project for hours, to be a little bit more definitive.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have only worked with a couple of different manufacturers of this style, so I think they're on par with everyone else I've worked with. I think they're a solid company.
Let me just clarify. The actual manufacturer made no mistakes. They were given a
Correct.
size by Progressive to
Mhm.
make, and the size that was given to them was incorrect. They made to whatever the drawings that you presented.
Yeah.
right? Okay, all right, so,
Yep.
so the manufacturer doesn't have any fault here whatsoever.
Nope.
Can you repeat what you said about the reutilization of the columns that were
Yes.
made by mistake, in essence?
I wish I would have brought some of the prototypes we have kind of drawn up. Working with and this is actually kind of in your very end up here, talking about the donor wall. The donor wall has been a design process throughout, so we didn't have the exact donors ready to go and the lists ready to go. So to get that finalized and get the design correctly utilized, we were talking about different designs, and as we're sitting there, we realized we're gonna have this leftover material, which is still bought and paid for and gonna be on site. We figured we could utilize that to do a wall with it. So essentially, the beams are utilized in the design so that it actually matches what's currently there. It will flow nicely, but we're trying to use that instead of having another piece of material utilized for the wall. It looks really good, I think.
Supervisor Ford, we will have in a future meeting, it's still in design right now, but we'll have renderings of those the donor wall that you guys can take a look at.
Yep. It looks really nice. I personally say that, and I think it's been received well too, from even the stakeholder group.
So is there any way to quantify the value of these beams that are gonna be used for the donor wall that are money that we probably would have approved to spend on a donor wall to give us some comfort that we're not just eating $25,000 or $24,730?
Yeah, I believe so. Valley City is the designer for us. They're working through with the township, and we can ask them to quote us what it would cost to get these similar beams installed. Yep, that's easily done.
Those are two separate items, guys.
Oh, no, I don't disagree with you on everything that you've said with respect to this. I'm kind of the sentiment with Trustee Prost that this mistake was made by the engineering firm, and that's why we have engineering firms, is for them to not make the mistakes, because that's why we hired you.
Yeah.
So, with respect to maybe if you do have an expert related to the perception of the contingencies, I would love to hear from that person here tonight, only because I think it would help, me more broadly understand from a governmental perspective about overages, because if this was happening to me personally, I probably wouldn't be paying for it. So.
That's right. Mike, do you want to come up? Sure. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm Mike Perry, live in Ada, mailing address. I'm also principal and an architect at Progressive Companies. So, my role is really to talk with clients about really what's going on, and in this case, the use of contingency. Now, I mean, you've heard it, there was a mistake was made, right? And I know, Bob, I heard you've been in business a long time, as I have. Make a mistake, you fix it. But this wasn't a life safety mistake, first of all. In other words, this wasn't something detrimental to the life safety and welfare. And typically, I mean, this is a complex project. It may be small in footprint, but it's a complex project. And so the contingency is used for lots of things. It's used for, you know, a bid scope that's not right. It's used for an elevation change that was missed. It's used for human error. Now, we're not saying that, you know, you should have to pay twice for something. That's different. What we're saying is we're gonna reuse these manufactured beams and columns, and so that the cost is minimal to you. You know, I think even in our agreement, it talks about that there's a design contingency established for things exactly like this. So I think that design contingency is 3%. What we're saying is 97% of what we do is going to be right on. 3% may not be right on. And so we have to, you know, we don't like making mistakes, obviously. We don't want to use any of your contingency. But that's just not reality. So, you know, we will do our best to minimize any cost and reuse those members. And our job, the other part of our job is we're not charging you for our time to redo that stuff. That's our responsibility. So you're not paying our design fees for us to change this out. That's on us. What you're paying for are the materials and the construction.
I think really the correct way to do it is you pay the bill. No contingency is for, not for contractor mistakes. You have errors and omissions insurance that if this was larger, you would take this back to your insurance company and say, guys, we messed up here, but not for 25 grand. I don't even know what your deductible is. But the reality is contingencies are for just that. Changes where we found all of a sudden we have water line going underneath there that's probably getting aged. Maybe we should fix it. Maybe we should dig it up now. That's a real change. Real changes, in my opinion, is not an error. Real, you know, if you want to really be honest, I disagree with the drain line. $1,500. You guys designed this thing, not you. They designed it. Have the guys doing the underground for that work either fix your design to make it work or put the clean out in. We're talking a $1,500 change. How much are they making on the project? If we want a good relationship, when we come to if you can reuse them, we haven't even got any price finalized to my knowledge for this new wall. So if you can reuse it, well then by all means we'll pay for it at that point as part of the project. But to sit here and say, well, we won't charge you as much for that because we can take it out and no, that's not how real business is done. Admit your mistake, pay for it, and then charge it a realistic thing. And if we don't agree with it or don't like the design or don't like the cost, then we'll say, get us options.
Yeah.
That's really the right way to do it.
Well, you know, this isn't a Honda Civic. We haven't built 1,000 of these things. This park is unique. Every project we do is unique. We're going to have issues that pop up. We just need to deal with them. Now, as a client, you shouldn't have to pay for something twice, and you shouldn't have to pay a premium for something. So in other words, if the manufacturer is putting on a $2,500 premium because it's being bid late or rushed, you shouldn't have to pay that as a client. And those are the things we're looking for.
This is certainly a design error by your guy, admittedly.
It is a design error. That is correct.
Eat the design error, get it fixed right. That's why we pay you guys. And if you are fortunate enough to reuse it so it's not sitting in your warehouse someplace, if not, we can take a vote and see if there's enough folks. But when you make an error, my goodness, an error is an error, fix the error. It's not a contingency item, it's an error.
Well, Bob, if you read the agreement, that's what the design contingency is used for. Design errors, omissions, or things that aren't coordinated, because we know they're going to happen. It's what we agreed to. It's what the township and Progressive agreed to, that there was going to be some.
Then if that's the case, what I'd like to see, in all honesty, is I'd like to table this, even any of the change order at this point, to a later date, to where we can see the actual contract and scope of that, because otherwise, I don't know how the other folks feel, but I don't think it's right. And if I don't see the word design contingency for progressive errors in there, then
Well, it's in their standard of care, it's right here, so in their progressive packet, so I understand what we're saying here in regards to errors. I mean, I think the problem when we start talking about errors is what is actually an error. I mean, we talk about counting trees and the miscounting of trees. If they count 4 and there's 5, is that an error? I've sat through a lot of these meetings. I know how we feel as a board when it comes to these change orders. I certainly know Progressive and Moore and Brugink know how we feel about change orders. I just think we've gone too far here. This is an error that happened. It's an honest mistake. We're Ada Township. I just feel that, again, I don't want to nitpick in regards to the decking as well. It needs to be improved. That railing, I think, is almost older than the bridge itself. So I just think we've gotten too far to one side when it comes to these change orders. We don't have to like them. We don't want them, but they're certainly understandable. I mean, I think Mike has done an eloquent job here of explaining what has happened, and I think we're holding their feet to the fire, which is what we're supposed to be doing as a board. But in regards to this, I see the standard of care. There was an error. If we have an issue with the verbiage of contracts going forward with Progressive or whoever, we should address it then, not now.
I don't disagree broadly with what you're saying. I think where my confusion and my discomfort is coming from with respect to this, and I think possibly Bob's too, is I think we probably should have had the contract to review as part of this change order, because we've been through so many of these change orders that have given us heartburn, and that maybe we need to be better and more adept at what our exact contracts say, so that when we sit and look at a change order in the context of the language of the contract, you're able to make a clear decision on it. So I would like us to postpone action only so that we could get the contract in front of us. We can actually review the contract and then be fully informed before we make a decision. So my request would be that someone would move to just postpone action on this until the next meeting.
Tom, can I ask a question to that? So if that does happen, does it impact the project schedule?
There's potential to. This is holding up putting in any foundations. Currently.
Yeah,
Why?
I'd also like to add to that comment. I think I caution, the ramifications of pushing this off. Joel Franken, our project manager, is here, and he's discussed with us, this is a big item. If we want to stay on track and deliver to the community a summer delivery of this park, I think this is an important consideration before we step forward. Ultimately, that's your guys' choice. But Joel, is there anything you want to add as far as timelines and the potential impact this may have?
Hey everyone, I'm Joel Franklin with Caterpillar Greg, project manager. Yeah, any delay could negatively impact the final completion down the road. The lead time for these columns, I've been told, could be upwards of 14 weeks. The hard part about that is that without those columns, we don't have a roof for the new restroom building. Those columns support the entirety of the roof, so there's some limiting factors without that to how far we can get with the improvement to the restroom building, just because we can't pop the roof off and complete the back storage building until we have that roof in place and can keep everything sheltered with that roof.
I'm extremely pissed. If you guys can't have the gumption to order them right with or without this decision, why are we paying you so much money to do this job? Get the things ordered. If it comes back, we have to pay for it, and it's the only way. I feel like we're in bondage. This is a contract I 100% will move to put this motion on the table. To table it to a later date. I want to see the full contract. If we need to get the things ordered, get them ordered.
I mean, I'm echoing what he's saying. It is a little surprising to me on a $3.4 million project. You're telling me where we have a dispute on 24,700 or whatever the exact number is, that it would stall the project?
It's because of the lead times, yes. Everything is connected to these beams. And to be
I
frank,
know, but the point is he's making the remark,
Yes.
order the beams.
So the
Ordering the
hesitation,
beams should have nothing to do with the dispute a little bit about the tweaking of the final price, allowing us to review the contract.
Okay.
I mean, that's your choice to delay the project, not ours.
the hesitation is that from even sitting in these meetings over the course of this construction project, there's been things tabled where people have brought change orders to, and that's the concern.
We haven't
from the
tabled
contractor.
one
No,
other
we
change
haven't
order ever since I've been on the supervisor, which has been 1 year and 1 month.
Okay.
And I've been through a million, it seems like a million of these. Every single meeting, we have change orders at this point.
Yeah, and this is a normal process for projects. Change orders happen, especially in a contract like this when we have the budget and the bid items trying to be accurate and precise with it. And this is what happens. We're above board with all changes, so they're all known, the costs are known, we move forward with it. I can attest to that. Well, Mike up here to attest to that. It's a very common process. It's not fun. I mean, no one likes them, but it's just part of the process. You can't get away from them if you want to do the project right.
So are you saying that you wouldn't order, you will not order the columns, even though,
That's a,
Who directs ordering the columns? Who purchases the columns? Does the general?
general, yeah.
Okay, will the general order the columns without a signed change order? No? So that's the crux. The contractor saying, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get paid for it because the township didn't approve the change order, so why would I order the columns?
well, to be clear, I think what we're asking for is just more clarity for the entirety of the project. I mean, do you honestly have a fear that you wouldn't get paid?
Well, it's not about us getting paid,
No.
it's about the contractor getting paid.
The same question gets posed to the contractor.
I mean,
If I'm hearing the other board members correctly, you just, am I right in saying that? You just want a little more clarity? And if we would table it,
Yeah, well, the
I'd
table
say just put a
allows us to
date
get
on
the-
it. We'll
the-
say, we'll look
allows
at
us-
this and draw a conclusion by such and such a date.
I would be worried about not getting paid, yes. That's a $24,000 risk that the company I work for would not be willing to take.
Really, after everything
Interesting.
that you guys have done.
If it were our discrepancy and our error, I would say, I don't know. I can't make those decisions.
But
'cause I'm
really,
not-
you didn't make the error. The people who made the error probably should still give you the purchase order.
That's not my call.
I think we need to move to table it until we can see and find out.
Okay, I took this directly from the contract. It was a snip, so it was in there, so I verified it was in there before, and I apologize for not putting it in there if that would have helped. I will next time do that if this thing comes up. But I would like to just say, like, I really hope we don't get lost in the weeds here, because at the end of the day, this park is going to be phenomenal. I will put everything on it. I stress over projects a lot. You guys, if you've read any of the notes, you read Darian's name on there a lot. He sits next to me. He always talks about how stressed I get about stuff, especially with timelines. This one doesn't stress me. Only this one issue here. And hopefully we could take care of it today. So that's my kind of last piece, is that this park will be phenomenal. I really hope that we continue moving forward as much as we can to get it done in time. Okay. Any other questions, or am I good?
So we have the request by a couple of us to postpone action tonight. We have a threat of a stall of the project consequently. Would someone move in some capacity on this at this point?
I'll suggest, I'm with you to table it, but I'd like to put a buy date on it, not just put it out there like we're not gonna just,
Well, it'd just be until, it'd be the next board meeting.
next board meeting. No, but I just wanted it to be clear so that everybody knows.
All right, so was that a motion?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we-
Is the proper motion table or postpone?
Table. Table until the next meeting
I
when
will
the
move
contract
to-
language can be reviewed.
make a motion to table this decision until the next board meeting, but in between time, we're going to be getting more information so that it could be reviewed in more detail.
Correct.
Support.
So we have a motion to table it until the February 12th, is that the next date?
February 9th.
The February 9th regularly scheduled meeting, allowing us to obtain additional information, specifically looking at the contingency language in the contract. And so that's a roll call vote to table.
Okay. Supervisor Korth?
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran?
Nay.
Trustee Prose?
Aye.
Trustee Damstra?
Aye.
Okay, so we have by a 4-to-1 roll call, the decision is to postpone this until February 9th, allowing us to obtain more information related to the contract language. All right, we're going to move on to the next item, which is consider the Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge Project Pay Application Number 1 from Grand River Construction in the amount of $175,370.40.
Well, hey, Steve Gronable, Moore Brewhinker Township Engineer.
Hi, Steve.
That was certainly interesting, I must say that. I'll leave it at that. We get to work on cool projects, I always tell you that. They're working on the caisson foundations out there, and you see a picture of our inspector in your treasurer's report. He had goggles on, he had about 10 coats on. The two guys sat there watching the pile per the specifications to make sure it could handle the loads on them. They're 2.5 feet in diameter, they're about 45 feet long. They measured resistance of 800,000 pounds, and it moved about 1/2 an inch. So each one of the 10 caissons to be installed will handle 800,000 pounds. You have to say it like that to sound really impressive. A 747 empty, perhaps Supervisor Korth knows this, is around 400,000 pounds. When it's loaded with fuel and people and luggage, it weighs over 800,000 pounds. It's astounding, isn't it? So your bridge foundations out there could hold 10 747s fully loaded. I just think that's a rather interesting sight. Of course, it would crush the bridge to smithereens, so we'll never try that. But the question came up originally, will this baby settle at all? It certainly doesn't seem like it. Contractor this week is not doing much out there. It's simply too cold. They hope to get going next week again, putting more caissons in the ground. But there's a pay estimate in front of you through December 31 for work done, totaling $175,370.40 due to Grand River Construction. Questions or comments?
Who was in that picture again? I'm sorry. Was it you?
That was not me. That was Brett Olson, our inspector.
And then the gentleman from Florida, right?
And the guy from Florida, yeah.
He does the testing.
When they started late on the coldest day of the year. They got done late, and as soon as it was done, the other guy got to go down to Florida. So
I was really hoping it would be a picture of you, Steve. But
it was not me.
The company, Steve, that the gentleman that does the testing, is that from MTC? Or is
Yes.
that from Grand River?
There was a gentleman from Materials Testing Consultants out there as well. So 2 people watching the dials and gauges. And, yeah. It's kind of cool. So
I move approval to Grand River Construction in the amount of $175,370.40.
support.
Moved by Trustee Prost, supported by Treasurer Moran.
Roll call.
Yes, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Damstra?
Aye.
Trustee Prose?
Aye.
Treasurer Moran?
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Supervisor Korth?
Aye. Thank you. All right, now we're going to go into the public comment, the first public comment of the evening. If any members of the public would like to come up to discuss anything that they'd like to speak about, please come up to the dais here and state your name and address for the record, and ideally limit your remarks to 3 minutes, please.
Nevin Zelensky, 6151 3 Mile Road. I didn't want to take up much of my time on the issue that you were discussing, but I want to applaud Mr. Pruse for his attention to fiscal responsibility. Normally I don't agree with him with much, but on this issue I certainly do. I've watched the minutes and become somewhat infuriated by looking at the number of change orders and additional payments to contractors. Whatever happened to a bid? You bid a project for $3 million, you get $3 million. You make a mistake, you pay for your own mistake, and you cut the $3 million check, and you're in good standing with the township, and then when the township needs another $2 million project, you get to bid on that one because you're a good guy. What is all this nitpicking about additional money? What I wonder is, how can you have a fair bid process if people can come in, think that you're patsies and gonna roll over and give change orders all the time, and they deliberately underbid the project. So legitimate bidders put in contingencies to cover those mistakes, but Progressive, for example, comes in and puts a low bid and then thinks, well, we'll just get a change order. I just think there's something shady about that. And I think the brakes need to be put on it. But I do come to this board with another issue, and that is the 3 Mile paving. Fox 17 recently highlighted how bad that road is. They came out and did a news expose on it. We've been before this board for numerous years. I've talked to Wayne Harrell at the Kent County Road Commission for 10 years, pave the road. There's a couple things I want to bring up just briefly. And I know you have a 10-year capital budget special meeting tomorrow, and I hope to attend that and also expound on this issue. But there's a couple things that I think should be really understood. Number one, the demographics of that road. We have 2 new homes already going up for construction. We have a third that was built last year. There are numerous houses going down the road with children. I had a neighbor across the street from me recently moved in. I think they have a number of kids, I think like 10 or 11. You know, these kids need a safe environment to walk to the bus stop, to get on their bikes without, you know, worrying about breaking a leg or rolling into a ditch. The other issue is, I don't think we need to make a big, I know there was comments made by the road commission, Mr. Burns, about how complicated it is. It's not complicated. George Haga took natural beauty designation and took it off on certain portions of Virgin and Bailey and redid that road to paving from its original gravel, and then put the natural beauty designation back on. 3 Mile Road was paved. They cut down trees. They laid over 1,200 feet, almost all the way up to Melavia. Where was the natural beauty designation then? They just put it in. So I don't think it's as complicated as it's made out to be. I think what it really comes down to is the safety of the residents, the safety of these children, and the fact that it's long overdue. So I would urge this board to strongly consider whatever avenue you can to show leadership and just get a capital order in and get the ball rolling to pave 3 Mile Road. Having said that, I look forward to tomorrow's meeting at 3 o'clock where I can perhaps add some additional comments. But again, thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Jennifer Marsh, 6169 3 Mile. I've been in this neighborhood for over 21 years, 3 Mile Road. I live and am neighbors to Nevin. And in that time, it's tried to been paved over and over again. And I was actually one of the ones not for paving it. I have a petition of all the people who were not for paving it at the time. But that time, we were walking, we were biking, it was safe. My daughter and I would walk in a stroller. There weren't potholes. And I don't know what's happened over this time. It's funny, most of the people on this now want it paved. I want it safe. I want a safe road where I can take a walk. I now walk and find another trail that's paved to go on. I can't walk down my own road anymore because there's potholes. My husband 2 summers ago broke his foot because of the potholes, just riding his bike. We drive down the road dodging neighbors because we're all back and forth across the road, trying not to hit the potholes, but trying not to hit each other, trying not to hit the kids who are around. It's not safe anymore. The buses have stopped coming down, and I know the road commission says, oh, well, this and that I talked to. It was a snow day. He didn't talk to anybody. You call and you leave a message. I talked to him on that day, tried to talk to him on that day too. There's so many excuses coming from the road commission, and nobody is holding them accountable. And I feel like you are the people who need to be holding them accountable. It's full of potholes, troughs. It's ruining our cars. We can't bike or walk. We have to go find an alternative. I don't dare take my dog down the road because I have to give him a bath if I'm going to, because it's so muddy and so holy and such a mess. And it didn't used to be this way. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I don't know what's happened. But I call the road commission. I'm the one, they know me. I'm sure they see my number come up and don't want to answer. And the responses are, it's too wet to do anything. It's too dry to do anything. You live on a dirt road, ma'am. That was the last one I got. You live on a dirt road. That's what you got. That's not what I got. I had a road that was safe. I had a road that didn't have troughs. I had a road that was pleasant to live on, and I don't anymore, and I'm not okay with it. And I feel like it's your job to fix this problem. We should have safety. Road commission says they keep our road safe. There's nothing safe about that road. Somebody needs to hold them accountable. Potholes need to be fixed. How hard is it? The opposite side of 3 Mile, they bring sand in, they fill the holes, they bring gravel in. They've seen gravel on the other side. I've actually driven to the other side of 3 Mile Road between Egypt Valley and Honey Creek and walked that side and parked in a friend's driveway because there it's safe. I don't know why they like the people on that side better than us, but our road's a disaster. And it's frustrating. We're paying the same property taxes as the other people who have decent roads to live on. We're paying, the other thing that Kent County keeps saying about natural beauty roads. Natural beauty roads, it doesn't say it needs to be a disaster. It should be lovely. You can't, natural beauty roads are paved or not paved. There's 40 miles of natural beauty roads in Kent County. You can't tell me they all look like the disaster we have, without swearing.
Do you have any other points? You're past your 3 minutes.
Sorry.
I
would just
encourage
you to do the right thing. Because if this isn't turning around and changing, I'll be trying for your spots next year when there's a next election. Somebody has got to stand up for us.
Thank you very much. I was going to save my comments for after.
Just hold on, we're still in the middle of a public comment, and someone else is able to come up.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to come up at this point during the public comment section? State your name and address for the record, please.
Hey guys. Hi. Tim Ellis, 6150 3 Mile. I'm the one mentioned with 1,000 children. So I've only been on that road for 3 years. Since I've been on it, I tell my kids not to bike on it. I echo a lot of the sentiment that's already been presented. I think the biggest thing that kind of worries me about not fixing the road and having the potholes is not necessarily the biking. That's a disappointment for sure. But I take my kids to school every morning, and every morning I pull out, I take a right, and I'm worried about the cars coming at me that are not looking at me. They are looking down, trying to avoid a 1-foot pothole so their cars don't break. They're no longer concerned with me, okay? I have had to swerve off the road on a few different occasions, actually into Dan Carter's property, who's not here unfortunately, but that's our next door neighbors, the Carters. So I think that to me is where, you don't trust the oncoming traffic to abide by their lane because of the problems created on the road. That to me is the definition of an unsafe road, where you don't trust that other people are can abide by the rules. I'd say that's the basic principle that's been kind of robbed with the current situation. I agree with the walking, the biking, the reasons it's beautiful in the first place. Those are taken away when that trust is gone. Imagine walking down it and seeing oncoming cars and you're not sure whether they're going to swerve at you or not. It's not a good situation. So I echo those sentiments. Some kind of solution would be amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Hunsaker. I live at 2945 Melavia Court. 2 years ago, I went on this process of trying to get a section of 3 Mile paved outside of our development. Ultimately, the township, with Julius's help, made a proposal to Kent County, and so and that was unceremoniously rejected, about a year ago. So I've been licking my wounds since then. Jen has breathed some new energy into this request. So I'm here in support of some sort of action on 3 Mile Road to improve. It did get rough around our neighborhood, especially potholes. So it's all the way from Pettis to Egypt Valley, I think, is what we're concerned about. And I don't think that individuals can have any impact on Kent County Road Commission, not in my experience. So it's going to take our township to use their influence to help get something going and help them listen to what the needs of the residents are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to come up? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment section of the meeting. And I'd like to just move forward if we could, and then we'll pick up conversations related to this at the end of our meeting.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go into our new business section at this point. The first item is Resolution R012626-1, a resolution to change the location of the early voting location. Would you like to present that?
Absolutely.
Please.
As you are all aware, 2026 marks a very, very heightened gubernatorial election. We equate it to be sizable and significance in nature as that of 2024. 2024 marked the first year that we were required to hold 9 days of early voting, and because the township had no other alternative but to hold that 9 days here. And as a resident, as a voter, I was here standing in line for some time watching the chaos, and I just thought to myself, how is the staff working with all of this? It didn't seem to be going over very well. And it wasn't. And now that I'm a clerk, and again, I will also reiterate, I have a decade of election chairperson work behind me, and I recognized immediately that there are other alternatives. We met with Scott Niedemeyer, the manager and director for the library, and he was very receptive to having us hold early voting there. It's a beautiful new facility, and it takes care of, it addresses all of our needs, and I just wanted to, I felt it was very important. Not only is this our only alternative, but it's a lovely and very approachable and adaptable alternative.
So you'd like us to move on formally through resolution, that is, we have the draft in front of us,
Yes.
to move the early voting location from the Township Hall to the library location?
Yes.
7215 Hadley Street.
Correct. And once the board approves it, then goes to the county as well as the state.
Okay. All right.
I move approval of resolution R121123. I think that should be -1. Moving?
Yes.
R-012626-1.
-1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I take
I was reading the wrong
responsibility for that because I typed it up, so I'm sorry, we'll fix that tomorrow.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah,
-1.
Yes.
The correct date?
thank you.
26, 26, -1.
Support.
All right, thank you. Moved by trustee Pro, supported by trustee Damstra, to approve the resolution to change the location of the early voting for the 2026 elections, or
Yes,
exclusively?
for the primary, the August primary
For the
and
entire
November
year?
general, yes.
Correct, okay. All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. The next item is the discussion of the annual leaf pickup program. Buildings and Grounds Facilities Grounds Director, Dennis, you are here? Will you come up, please, and just go over that with us real quick?
Good evening, Township Board. Dennis Branks, BFG Director. I was hoping to get your input and your decision so that we can potentially put it in the aid of you, if not get in decision to the residents on our leaf pickup program. In the past, we had Republic pick up our leaves, and they were charging us at the end of 2024 close to $12,000. There was a small little meeting with Treasurer Moran and Township Manager Julie Succi and myself to give some options to our residents on what we can do differently for our leaf pickup program. With that decision, we came up with a new contractor, Thornapple River Nursery, to do our leaf pickup program in the fall of 2025 at $3.75 per bag. And with Republic, they didn't really share how many bags they picked up, just they billed us on tonnage, and they wouldn't share the amount of bags they picked up. But they did say that potentially 8 bags would make up 1 ton. So with that conversion and factors, some of those prices of 2022, 2023, and 24, and 25 came up to around $20 per bag for our leaf pickup program. Thornapple River Nursery is charging us $3.75, but that was on a temporary basis, and they are now proposing a 3-year contract locked in at $4 per bag for the 26, 27, and 28 spring and fall pickups, 4 pickups per year. 1 in April, 1 in May, 1 in October, and 1 in November. This helps the residents clean up their yard before Memorial Day, before Halloween, and also before Thanksgiving. So we still have some options out there. The board can say, no, we don't want to do this anymore. We can say we can only do it per fall, or we can continue with our current contractor, Thornapple River Nursery. I'm just looking for a decision from the board so we can move forward.
Well, I think that, in my opinion, the change needs to be made one way or the other. My only concern is maybe if we cut it in half and say we're only going to do the fall, or do 1 fall pickup, 1 spring pickup, and stop the 4 months, that wisdom would tell me, especially if you advertise it like the week before Halloween, when 90% of the leaves are down at that point.
November was the biggest one, actually.
This year it was
Yeah.
because of the late summer. But that's a thought, or 2 in the fall and 1 in the spring. But I don't think we've done it for years for the residents. I don't think we should just cold turkey them, but maybe wean them off.
What I didn't share with you were the numbers of bags. In October, they had picked up around 459 bags. In November, they picked up closer to 1,200 bags.
Wow.
And that total for the almost 1,600 bags, or around there, was about $6,300. The proposed increase of 25 cents per bag, if the numbers stay the same, would be $6,600 for the fall pickup for both months.
Yeah, as Mr. Brinks has indicated, one of the things kind of driving the timeline is the 8 of you, that deadline to put it out to residents. In the fall, we kind of put a note in there that we were still evaluating. We didn't have final numbers from Thornapple River Nursery. We ended up then reaching out, putting out some social media information. So it would be much cleaner if we did have something in the Ada view just to improve communication. With this kind of timing being a little bit different, normally we don't have a contractor kind of mid-year say, oops, ironically, we've overbilled you. And for years, Republic had continued to bill at a certain rate. And then one year they found out that they had been underbilling us. Thankfully, they didn't go back. But we said we can't continue with Republic, so we need to go a different option. And so, you know, if we were going to continue, obviously Thornapple River Nursery, I think, is a good option. I don't know that I would advocate to say we need to get into a 3-year contract without having a better understanding of the data, because with Republic Services, we didn't have any data.
Correct.
And so now, at least with Thornapple River, we were able to get that data to understand what the cost per bag is, what the impact is, and have a little bit more accountability of the system. But just looking for general direction from the township board so that, you know, if we get a bill for $3,000 or $4,000 for a spring cleanup or for a spring leaf pickup, and that number will need to be adjusted in our budget amendment, because that is more than what was budgeted for the current fiscal year.
Just a silly question. Are we selling them the bags?
No.
No.
I'll speak on that a second. I mean, this is, Dennis, thanks for your work. It's really tremendous. I mean, $3.75 per bag collected. I mean, way back in the day, the cost has been reduced, but the factor that hasn't been accounted for is the time that the treasurer and the deputy treasurer spent selling these bags for $1, barely probably covering the cost even at that point in time. So again, I applaud you for the research and switching from Republic Services to the new vendor. I just think the residents love having their bags collected. We've talked about other buying a machine. You know, if you go to East Grand Rapids, the snow fell so early, they have piles in the curb. It just makes sense. It's simple. I just feel that with all the cost savings, the service that we're providing the residents, especially those south of Fulton, and the cost, and the fact that I don't have to sell nor store any more leaf bags in the closets here at the township, more than offsets not doing it in this particular case.
And a lot more admin work for you guys too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Dennis, do you have numbers for April and May?
I do not have numbers.
Because that was Republic Rec and they
Correct.
didn't, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Would it be a safe assumption to say that it was considerably less than in the fall? Or you
Considerably
have,
less in the fall?
yeah,
Our fall pickup is the higher one.
that's what I meant, is that the April and May numbers
Yes.
would be, that's.
I would
what
say maybe a
thought,
third
yeah.
of that cost.
Okay.
I totally support just going forward with this for the next 3 years. We'll have metric data. It'll be a lot easier to assess the real utilization 3 years from now, and that we should just move forward. It's not that large of a number, and it clearly is a service to an awful lot of the more suburban areas south of Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
Lock it in.
Can we get that in the form of a motion?
So moved.
So we have a motion to approve the Ada Township Leaf Program 3-year contract as presented in this proposal from Thornapple. Is there support?
I'll support.
We have support. We have a motion by Trustee Prose, support by Dr. Marco. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you, Board.
Consider the Township Board training proposal from Eric Walcott, Senior Specialist, MSU Extension Government and Community Vitality.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. So this is something we've talked about for a little bit. Was waiting on the final proposal. The Administrative Committee had reviewed the proposal and recommends approval. Essentially, what this would be is a 2-hour governance workshop focused on clear understanding of roles, responsibilities, practical governance approaches, and ethical public service that strengthens decision-making, board collaboration, and public trust. With a new supervisor, new clerk, new trustee, this is also a good opportunity to just have some of those housekeeping training pieces that we would normally use as we onboard new board members. And so
I had received a presentation at the West Michigan Manager's Lunch from Eric. He had talked about some of the things that his office does, one of them being this type of board training. And I had earlier today sent out an email with a link to Ottawa County's board training that he had just completed in December. And so he came highly regarded from Patrick Waterman, the Ottawa County Administrator. The cost proposal is minimal, it's $335. Probably the bigger challenge will be figuring out a date that we can pick, but wanted to bring this to the board. Didn't want this to be, I wanted this to be something the entire board discussed and agreed on so that we can move forward and hopefully, have a fresh start to the year.
Are you asking for a motion on this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I fully support that we do it. I think it's good. These training sessions when I was on the Planning Commission were very productive because it brought the concepts together by all the board members all at the same time so that the clarity and the discussion came out collectively, and I think it'd be a good exercise for us. So I'm hoping you will move on this and support it.
I'll make a motion to approve the board training proposal from Mr. Eric Wolcott, MSU Extension Senior Specialist, for a cost not to exceed a whole $335.
I'll support. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. You're good.
So we have a motion from Treasurer Moran and Clerk DeMarco with support. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously.
Or promoted, it depends on the day.
We're going to now discuss the schedule, the draft budget presentation work session.
It is that time of the year to schedule a budget work session. So in our October 13th meeting, we approved resolution for the fiscal year budget adoption schedule. The next item is, tomorrow we're going to have a separate meeting on the capital improvement plan projects. So this will be a brief overview of each of the projects, not necessarily getting too far in the weeds, but introducing the projects going fund by fund. And then those projects will ultimately be sprinkled into the final draft budget that is presented to the board, and that'll take place. Right now, the schedule says between February 9th and 13th. Realistically, that can happen at a later date, but we continue to strive to get that budget adoption by March 31st, because that is when our fiscal year ends. I don't anticipate everyone having the schedule, especially we've got 2 board members who are not present. But I would anticipate up to 2 hours on the meeting. I would request a motion to authorize the manager to schedule the special budget work session for a date and time to be determined by Township Board availability. I know Trustee Carter, he's, I think, coming back in mid-February. And so realistically, try to shoot for one of those first dates so that we can put all this together and have as many board members as possible present.
Thank you. So would someone move to approve the scheduling of our budget presentation for the middle of February, ideally?
I'll make a motion to authorize Township Manager to schedule special budget work for a date and time to be determined by Township Board availability.
Support.
We have a motion by Treasurer Moran, support by Trustee Damstra. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we're at the most important thing of the evening, which is the special recognition of Steve Gronenboom from Morning Bridge. I'm going to just say a couple quick words and then hand it off to Julius. It's been a pleasure working with you for many, many years on both the Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees now. I don't think I appreciated you in the early days as much as I should have, but as I've certainly over the last couple of years really grown to understand the role you play and how important you've been to the community, so thank you.
You know, I've known Steve for a long, long time. When I was an intern in Ferrysburg, Steve was the first engineer that I got to know on a job site because he was Ferrysburg's engineer. And so I feel blessed to be able to see, the beginning of my career and the end of his. Steve, I know there's been a lot of talk about change orders. I jokingly was going to put another change order on the agenda just for you as a retirement joke, but I thought I don't want to do that right now. But you're always looking out for the township. I joke with other managers that our engineer literally knows everyone in Ada Township. Steve has skied with them or skied with someone in their family, and your ability to know every street, their families, the residents, and that's obviously something that is important to the township. Ada Township strives to be great in everything that it does. I think one of the other things that, and there's no one from Progressive here anymore, but one of the things that I think Warren Brugink and yourself have always done is stood behind your product. And when there's been a mistake, and there have been mistakes, you're willing to stand up and say, you know what, this one's on us and we're going to take that. And so ironically, you've probably poisoned the well a little bit, because we had a meeting and with Progressive and said, well, what are you going to do to fix it? That's what Warren Brugink would do. And so we hold others in that standard that you've set. And so I appreciate the opportunity to work with you, to get to know you, and your jokes, despite sometimes them not always hitting. But I know I will always use the phrase anytime now someone talks about something being possible, that we put cheese in a can, a man on the moon, anything's possible. And that's what we think in Ada Township. So I just want to say thank you. I do have a certificate of appreciation, but I don't know if any other trustees want to speak.
How can I not? I talk too much anyway, right? No, shoot. I think, Steve, I've known you since I've been on the board. We did a lot. You're a good man. And we see it all around the township. And I just wish you well. Thanks for all you've done.
And we hope you keep the jokes coming. You can send a card, note, anytime. Yeah, there you go. Anybody who could make me laugh in a cemetery is okay in my book, so thank you.
Well, I've known Steve as long as I've been on the board as well, and I think for me, and the timeline correlates to just what has happened over the 9-10 years in Ada and these projects, from raising Ada Drive to building bridges. It's just been extraordinary what obviously we as a board have accomplished, but you as our engineer, obviously your knowledge is top notch, but what I think I enjoyed, and I know Julius referenced it, is just your levity. I mean, this is serious stuff that we do, and making decisions on behalf of the taxpayers of Ada. And some decisions are very difficult to make. But I know Steve has always brought forward an honesty, some transparency, and a will to just do it the right way. And I will always appreciate that. I know Julius kind of references, we've really set a standard, probably not even fair for other vendors to follow. So again, we will miss you more than you know, and we just hope to continue what we're doing in Ada under the path, the trail that you've really laid out for Ada Township. So thank you very much, Steve.
Can I say a couple? Sure, please. Sure. Great.
Only if you start with a joke.
Okay, so joke of the day. I was at your library the other day, and I said to the librarian, do you have any books on paranoia? And she whispered to me, they're right behind you. That was from Dennis Brinks, who gave me a joke of the day calendar. He bought it in August, gave it to me in September, but it was for the past year, so I think it was on sale. So I was cleaning out my office, and I found this. It's a postcard of the covered bridge. My dad found it when he was cleaning out his office. It was from his mom, who was from Iowa. He was from Iowa. She came out here, saw the covered bridge, and sent it back to my dad's brother, Kenneth Groneboom, who was my funnest uncle, by the way. It was 1966, addressed to Kenneth Groneboom, and here's how you addressed it to the farmers in Iowa. Oskaloosa, Iowa, Route 1. And it made it there. It's canceled. So it's, I gave...
The original bridge, too.
It is the original bridge before it burned down, yeah. I gave a Father of the Bride speech last summer, and I rehearsed it and rehearsed it. and I knew one spot. We need another joke right now, see?
I was hoping you were gonna say that you did a daughter-dad dance and you were gonna do the dance here tonight.
No, we did do that, but I got emotional and I knew it was gonna happen, and there it was, so I took Kleenexes along. My kids threw a wonderful party for me yesterday. They rented a limousine. We've got 4 kids, 3 are married. On the list of things to do was to visit the cool jobs we worked on in West Michigan. We made it to Walker, we made it to Grand Rapids, and by the time I was telling stories about everything, our driver said, "We have to get going because it's horrible roads." I said, "But we got to go to Ada because that's where the really cool projects are." We never made it to Ada, but we did get on the big screen at home. We got a Google tour of Ada with the kids, and I could tell them all my stories. And on the way in, my wife took a picture of the low building owned by Devin Norman, and she sent that to the kids. And they said, "Dad, enjoy your last meeting." But talk about cool projects, 2 in particular. In 1991, and Supervisor Korth mentioned last time, in the blink of an eye, right? In the blink of an eye, 20 years, 39 years is up. In the blink of an eye. 1991, my boss, Gary Vogt, called me. He said he was homesick. He said, "Steve, I can't make it to the Ada Township meeting tonight. You're going to have to go." And I said, "I can't go. I'm shaking like a leaf, man. I'm going to be sweating. You know, I can't do it, Gary. I can't do it." He said, "No, here's how you do it. You hold it up here, you talk to the board, and you turn around and you address the crowd. But you're mainly talking to the board." He said, "It'll go fine. Trust me." It was on Bronson Street, and it was on putting perpendicular parking on Bronson Street. And when you guys talk about the road commission and how unwilling they are to change their standards, that's the first road in Kent County where the road commission allowed perpendicular parking. We put the parking spaces in, and right away the township board said, "That's way, way, way too many parking spaces." We eliminated some of them down by the covered bridge, and then they went back in when Randy Damstra developed Nona's there. I think Randy and Nona's paid for 4 more spaces down there. And now if you come down here at lunchtime, you can't find a spot. It's really, it's quite amazing. And the second cool project in Ada that we got to work on, April 14, 2013, 2014. My wife Carla is here, by the way. She said, "I got to see what the township board members do." It's quite something, isn't it?
You just brought her because there was a change order.
Yeah,
on
you
the-
do it.
She whispered to me, "I've never seen architects get so mad and storm out of the building."
I saw you smiling the whole time you were behind.
But I was in church, and I had to come down to downtown Ada because that was the big flood. And she said, "You're not going to stop the flooding." I said, "You know, you're not Moses. You're not going to hold the waters back." I said, "I know, but I just want to see what's going on." And I stood out there with Jim Farrow in Fifth Third's parking lot, and Jim said, "Keep in mind, the water's this deep in Ada Drive." And Jim said, "Steve, we got to fix this." I said, "Jim, that would be impossible. That would take hundreds of millions of dollars, and you'd have to bring in 8 feet of dirt." And Jim said, "Yeah, that's what we need to do." And you know, a year later, you announced Envision Ada, and now you look at it out there. So, it's I'm going to miss you guys. It's been an honor and a privilege, and thank you for the kind words.
Supervisor hand you this, and all the board members can get in, and we can have someone from the audience, staff, take a photo.
Take a picture.
Come on in.
Will you still go off with me? Will you get any better?
Steve, lift your chin. Now the other one, yeah.
Thank you.
And you leave tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning.
Ooh.
We go to Calhoun, Georgia. It's going to be like 20 degrees in Calhoun, Georgia.
How are you getting there?
So 40 degrees warmer than here.
And then we go to Florida the next.
Very nice. Enjoy yourself down there. All right, we're going to move on to our department reports. Manager report.
Touch on a couple items. One, upcoming work sessions. So we have the capital improvement plan work session tomorrow, 3 o'clock at the library. Thursday, we have a joint work session between the township and the Parks, Recreation, and Land Preservation Advisory Board to discuss potential millage rate options for consideration. And then February 11th, I had sent an email recently just trying to confirm updates and times. This would be a joint meeting of the Township Board and the DDA Board to receive the parking plan presentation from Fishbeck. So this would be 3 o'clock was the best time. It's very difficult to schedule. I've got an Excel spreadsheet open of all the different things I'm trying to schedule with board members. So we try to rotate. If a board member can't make one, we try to move it in the future so that we can try to move that around as much as possible. I do anticipate Trustee Carter won't be available, and I don't know about Trustee Hurwitz, but the rest of the board, the general feedback was that 3 o'clock worked, and that also worked for the DDA board, so that was what we're moving forward with. Just a note, and I know Clerk DeMarco will probably touch on this as well, but we had met with Jerry Byrne today from the Kent County Road Commission, obviously, following up on the story that came out, and I understand the frustration. I think if you've been at part of meetings or watched the Township Board over the last year, there's been a increased frustration with the Kent County Road Commission and their lack of being a partner. When the township went through the process previously of looking at paving, we had requested, and we've done this before, and Mark, I appreciate all the work you put in it, fill out the petition, get more than 50% of the residents to fill it out, and then our board consider it, take it to the road commission, and then the road commission kind of moved the goalpost a little bit. And they said, well, we only want to consider a pavement to pavement treatment, this is not that. And I know we both sat in the meeting, and we're stunned that much time and effort and thought had been put into something that the road commission kind of put away. Now, in our conversation today, we talked about the options that were available. So there is a couple of different options. Obviously, there's the pavement option all the way from Pettis all the way to Egypt Valley, which sounds like this is a different conversation than was a couple years ago, which focused primarily on the Melavia Court kind of location. And so that's obviously something that the board can consider. We can discuss that. The other option that was discussed with the road commission was the way the gravel road is right now is not conducive to drainage and a lot of other issues that make it the condition it is. And Jerry Byrne would not use the word unsafe, but he indicated it's the same as some other roads in the township, which again, and I think Clerk DeMarco indicated in the meeting, that's not good enough. If we deem it unsafe or it is unsafe to the residents, something has to be done. And so we did talk through if the Cadillac version is paving all of it, and that's a hefty price tag, doesn't mean it can't be done, but that is about a 3-year process with the road commission. That's a significant undertaking. Again, doesn't mean it can't happen. But one of the other options to try to find a solution for the interim period, or even if it's a desire to remain gravel, would be to remove the Natural Beauty Road designation. That would come from 25 property owners in the township submitting a petition. I know Clerk DeMarco can follow up with the petition piece because I know she got petitions available today that we can provide residents. But essentially, 25 residents can petition the Kent County Road Commission Board for removal of the Natural Beauty Road designation. At that time, the Kent County Road Commission can enter into an agreement with the township for what's considered minor construction. And so typically when they do road grading or any of the pothole filling that they do currently, dust layer, brine treatments, all that is just under general maintenance. Anything beyond that is considered minor construction. And so the Natural Beauty Road designation does need to be removed. We don't know what that cost would be, but essentially what that would require is adding ditches on both sides of the roadway, widening the road to a minimum of 22 feet, removal of trees, creating some safety components that right now under the Natural Beauty Road designation are not possible. And so we had asked the question, why can't the road commission, if it deems that it's something more needs to be done, why can't it do that? And so they had indicated years ago on Leonard, the road commission went in and started doing more work than what was normal in terms of normal grading. And they had 2 attorneys come out and provide them basically a cease and desist that they were going to be sued because they were not following or did not remove the natural beauty road designation. And so that is the big caveat here, is the road commission can't do any more until that designation is removed. That public hearing is held by the Kent County Road Commission Board. It's held in Ada Township. So if 25 property owners, and we would recommend more than 25 property owners just as they verify signatures, it would be held in Ada Township Hall here, but it would be the Kent County Board of Commissioners. It would be their meeting, and they would hear that petition. And so that would be the first step to go down that path. Now, I don't know whether the residents of 4 Mile or 3 Mile Road are comfortable with that as an option first, or if there's a desire to say we want to go full bore and look at paving it all. That's ultimately a conversation that we can have, and I'm happy to meet with residents and talk through those options and share any of the information that Mr. Byrne provided today. And then I'd kind of, any of my other time, I'd give to Clerk DeMarco as she was in the meeting as well.
Thank you. I want to applaud all the efforts, the ongoing and long-term efforts that you've provided to the residents, because Manager Suchi really has been your biggest advocate. Me coming into it, I want you to know that I reviewed all the information that you've supplied to me. I did a lot of research and due diligence on my own about the natural beauty element and what it entails and what the designations are and whatnot. So we had a lot of discussion about that today. And I honestly didn't think that, based on what I know the road to be and the mandate or the doctrine, if you will, that the road commission puts out, I didn't see why it was even deemed a natural beauty road in the first place, and Mr. Byrne agreed. So I have current petitions here. I have bullet points for all you to talk amongst yourself. I'll be happy to go over all of them with you after the meeting. One thing that we are asking for is if you can designate a point person or 2 that we could meet with on a regular basis. But I want to be clear and assure you that one of the key ingredients that was imposed today in our conversation was, this is not going away. I wanted a strong, continual, ongoing path to resolution, and they needed to lay that out, because I did also convey that there's been a lot of slippage and potholes, and I use that term loosely, that they dropped the ball. And I drove that point home. And I think, if I may go out on a limb here in saying that, they saw a different side of things today. So we want to meet with you. We want to just continue with this project and see it through to the end. And we're here to support you all.
Can I ask you a couple questions? Julia, she talked about the removal so that you can do this light construction work, and that the road would remain gravel.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any further conversations about, if they want it paved, that it has to be brought up to full road standard, no different than when I moved here in the early 90s, Egypt Valley looked a lot like 3 Mile. Heavily wooded, narrow, and a completely different road than the road we have today. And based on my understanding from talking to Jerry Byrne, if they pave the road, they want it built to county standards, which will mean enormous clear cutting on both sides of all of your trees, flattening the road, and I live on conservation, which, though it was paved by the time, my section was paved by the time I moved here, the people that still live around me that were, when it was a dirt road, said that, well, you couldn't use conservation after it was paved because people went 60 miles an hour on it. So the families here with their kids and stuff, it's a joke to think that you're going to be walking on this brand new road that's paved if it's built to the county road standards. Conservation, where I am now, has one of our paths on it, and it's lovely, but then you'll need to be petitioning for a path along 3 Mile. So as you digest these options to try to improve the road, and I don't disagree, based on the growth, that there is a real need, and there also seems to be a lack of interest by the road commission to, it's almost like they're passively trying to get people to pave the road and to get to their simplified standard. Just be careful what you wish for, and pay very close attention to what they're proposing they're going to do, and you understand what's going to happen if you make that decision. And that we will respond ultimately to the wishes, but there's the red tape to go through, and then the way, and then the paying for it and so forth. Someone brought up about their taxes and all that. I mean, we will respond to that, but just be careful that you understand what can happen to where you live if you're not careful. That's all.
Yeah, Supervisor Court, to that point, I mean, one of the conversations just for the residents, I mean, we have had multiple conversations with the road commission over the last year regarding their road standards. So they indicate it needs to be X amount wide, the lane miles, there needs to be X amount of buffer, the ditches need to be X amount of size. And so part of our pushback has said, if the gravel road is here right now and their standard is up here, is there something in the middle that can still preserve some level of normalcy on 3 Mile Road without clear cutting and turning it into just another, paved boulevard? The road commission has been steadfast in that our standard is our standard. We will not build a road that does not meet our standard. In talking to Ryan Ahrens, our engineer from Warren Brugink, Ryan's got a lot of experience working with other road commissions. So one of the questions I had for him was, can you get me a listing of the standards in other counties and for the road commission? While it's not our county road commission, at least it provides us some leverage or conversation points to say, what are other communities doing to try to be a little bit more amenable? Instead of spending all this money paving everything, is there something else we can do? And one of the things that Mr. Byrne had pushed back on was the concept of, if you pave it, even with, let's say, a more narrow road and it's paved, that people are going to go much faster. And so then it does create some of those issues. And so I'm not an engineer, but one of the things I think is, as you guys go through this process, I'm happy to sit down and look at the options. We can work through with the road commission and say, this is what the cross-section would look like for a gravel road with the designation removed, the ditches and all this stuff. Here's what a paved road would look like. Because obviously you guys are the ones who are living there. This is obviously going to impact your neighborhood. And so we want to be as responsive as possible to that rather than us picking the solution. We understand, though, that residents are not all going to agree. But the road commission does want to see that there is uniformity in what we're trying to do. So instead of paving 200 feet by Melavia Court, it really is a treatment-to-treatment solution because really what you're doing is playing a game of whack-a-mole. If you pave another 200 feet, all you're doing is pushing the potholes another 200 feet. And things will continue to slide down there. And so, but like I said, I welcome any conversation. As Clerk DeMarco indicated, the Road Commission has asked for us to have one point of contact with them. We would ask, just so that, similar to when I worked with Mark, about a year and a half ago, it was really easy to communicate with one person as opposed to having 5 or 6 residents all handle that. And so I'll let you guys figure out who that individual is. I'm happy to set up meetings and happy to sit down with all residents to talk through that and explain it and answer questions, because we might not have all the answers either, and we're happy to go through that process with you guys.
And please understand, the key ingredient here is uniformity. Because we want to support you, we can't make these decisions for you. They need to be your decisions collectively. So please consider that. Supervisor
Korth, one other note, and I don't want to say something and it seems like I'm misrepresenting it in the future. Mr. Byrne was very clear that if the Natural Beauty Road designation is removed, it most likely will not be reattached. Right. So the Kent County Road Commission over the last 15 years has not put one back on that has remained gravel. Now, there has been some paved roads that have had trail work, and we've done this in Ada where there's trail work or small work, but when it's gone to full paving, And even some of the minor construction pieces, they've indicated that their road commission will look at the standards of the Natural Beauty Road language and determine whether this road meets that anymore. And there's a question whether it ever met it from the actual standard perspective.
All right, thank you. All right, then the clerk's office report, would you like to discuss your report at all?
Sure. Grateful to have a little bit of downtime this first month of the new year. Allowed me to prepare a lot of the capital improvement budget information. I did a cost analysis for a lot of the cemetery work, and which is included in what will be presented tomorrow. In addition to our anticipated election costs, again, everything's been compared to 2024. That's the only really point of measurement that we had. We do collectively, countywide and statewide, anticipate the 2026 election cycle to be as busy, if not more so, than 2024 in its entirety. So that remains to be seen. But I did do a lot of calculations, and I created specific inspector workers, how many for each location. We have adjusted their pay scale. In the end, it's actually a savings. We lessened the amount for training, but threw a couple of bucks for the actual hourly work. So when I say a unit of workers, I refer to a chairperson, an EPB operator, and then a certain amount of inspectors. So with all those put in place, it gives us a good idea of what our costs will be. And we'll be, I guess, talking about that tomorrow. We did an audit and review of all the cemetery records up to 1996, and we will be reviewing all those records up to that point to try to determine any unused graves that were permitted ownership to people that they might not even live here anymore. So we're beginning that audit process, and letters and notifications will be going out on an ongoing basis. And this is a when we can, while we can, and that'll be between me and the rest of the staff. The Finley tree work will commence within a few weeks. They had to order a new crane specifically for this work, and they anticipated starting within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And as that work completes itself, we anticipate a minimum of 40 additional graves along the northeast to southeast end. All it really needed, and we were out there with, thank you very much, the Buildings, Facilities, and Grounds Committee guys, who I consider to be practically experts, walking us through certain elements and identifying what could be removed by them as well. So they will be helping us in the meantime. And once that whole area is all cleared up, we do anticipate having, like I said, at least a minimum of 40 additional graves. We've also designed a 2026 residential messaging plan through both our new website, Facebook, and Instagram accounts. We have worked with a BFG department, and we put a new security system on the house next door, which houses all of our tabulators and election equipment, and we are now in compliance. The state notified me that by mid-February, they're going to start sending out state inspectors to just take a look at all township facilities to make sure that everything is in line, that we have our new drop box that is now compliant legally, that we have live video monitoring, and like I said, the house next door will now be secured as well. And that's a wrap.
All right, great. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to go into board member comment. Would any members of the board like to talk about anything, any other topics?
I don't have anything to say.
I did want to mention something quickly. It won't take up a lot of time. At the administrative level, at the admin committee level, we have talked on a few occasions about security while we were here on the board for meetings. I just wanted to ask, well, I'm sorry that 2 trustees are not here, but maybe we can talk about this a little later, but I just wanted to throw out and ask you what your opinions are for building security while the board meetings are underway. And I did offer a couple of suggestions, one being to have a security guard sit up front while we're here in the meetings, or another alternative is to use close up the front door, lock that, and use the entrance or exit for the back doors here. So just throwing that out there. Would love to hear what your input is. Anytime.
The admin committee, which is made up of Treasurer Moran, myself, and Clerk DeMarco, we've talked about this, and I think the thing that, because of our efforts and our working on the new township hall, the requirements to build a ramp and special noticing and changes in new doors and so forth, that's inhibiting us, and I think it's a balance of the perception of risk versus the time and effort for what we perceive to be a short-term fix, I guess. And so clearly Clerk DeMarco continues to be uncomfortable with the situation, and so I'm empathetic to her concerns. And so the input from other board members about the topic is welcomed. And you don't have to do it tonight. I said,
Right.
we're missing a couple trustees, so that maybe it's
I
just
just
something
wanted
to
to
think
throw it
about.
out there.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more
Right.
about the whole thing, yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, we have no closed session tonight. This is now an opportunity for the second public comment section of the evening. Would any members of the public like to come either back up or up for the first time to discuss anything? Okay, seeing no one come up, I will, oh,
Nevin Zelensky, 6151 3 Mile. Just a suggestion to the board. I like Ms. DeMarco's suggestion about security, but don't we already pay the Kent County Sheriff's Department a fee for some additional patrols in our area? And why couldn't those resources be utilized twice a month to stay at our meetings? Maybe have a sheriff's deputy here. If that's what you're looking for, as opposed to paying separate security. I mean, we already pay the Sheriff's Department a stipend for services. Why couldn't those services include meetings twice a month? So just an idea. And I don't know if I'm really allowed to make additional comments on the same subject. I always thought that was a rule of George's, but I did want to make a couple points to Julius's comments about the Kent County Road Commission. Because I've dealt with them along with an environmentalist named Karen Holt, who was kind of instrumental in not wanting the road paved on 3 Mile, back when there was shared sacrifice, I guess. One of the things is, I'd really like to know is the road that they paved up to Melavia, did they do it by county standards? My understanding was when they did that, they didn't necessarily do it to county standards. And at the time, to pave a natural beauty road, you didn't have to follow the county standard. You could do something less. It wasn't a requirement. They may push that, and they can make it part of their agenda, but it's not necessarily a legally binding requirement by the county. So I don't know that they cut a few trees when they did that, but I don't know that they, whether they even met their own standard on that. And one of the interesting points, and I was going to bring it up tomorrow, but since you elaborated about this process and the Natural Beauty Road designation, one of the things I find interesting is MCL 691, which is a state law regarding roads. And there's certain laws that are out there. For example, they have the 30-day pothole rule. You damage your car in a pothole, and you notified the county and they didn't fix it, you can sue for damages for your vehicle up to $1,000 to a certain agency. But there's also under MCL 691, it deals with the idea that a road's geometry is unsafe for modern vehicles. And what it is the road commission can't say, let's say someone drives up 3 Mile Road and they have a head-on collision and they're killed. The road commission can't say, well, everybody knew that was a gravel road. That's not a defense. The fact of the matter is, if any of you drive up that road and go take your car and go to the top of that hill trying to go back to Pettus, you'll find it's a single lane road. It's a horse and buggy road. Mm-hmm. You're playing Russian roulette. Drive up it. In the summer when there's drainage is all gone and you're going up, you're just hoping And when I go up that road, I just inch my way up and I just hope another car doesn't come flying over it. That to me, the law says that in certain circumstances, the county could be held civilly liable for damages. The question is, could the township be held civilly liable for damages? Are you partners with the county? I mean, people have come to you asking you to do a capital improvement on that road. So there's a lot of questions maybe for your legal, but they're not out of the woods. That is not designed for modern traffic. So I just wanted to bring that up, and thank you for your time.
May I just, before you leave, I just want you to be assured that that was the main focal point for me, is the safety element there. And you can take all the data and everything else, it almost goes right out of my head, because the thing that I'm focusing on is safety, to what you just spoke of.
Yeah, and that's why the buses don't drive down there. They used to back up into Mr. Carter's driveway, but then they got stuck too many times and wreckers had to come. And you just can't drive it one way unless you're putting life at risk.
I know that because I drove it.
Thank
Or
you very
tried to,
much.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to come up? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the second public comment session and ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All right, so we have a motion by Clerk DeMarco, support by Trustee Damster to adjourn at 8:43. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we went through the whole process. So we talked about it. I think it happened right after we got here, is we kind of took it to a vote, then went to the road commission, and then
No, what I was really saying is I was trying to say, based on this, it's like township law. Based on what Devin just said.
yeah, I couldn't speak to that.
I mean, well, we really should know.
Yeah.
See it in your eyes. Say, look, we need to do it. Whether or not.
Yeah,
we can get them to pave this road and not tear it apart at the same time.